Well, good Monday morning, friends. Mark Holmes here, of course, with my buddy Cowboy Joe Boo, as well as Joe Bear in the house. And as always, I want to say thank you all for watching, commenting, subscribing, and being part of the Joe Boo Sports Report. Without you guys, as well as you ladies, you know that this literally does not work. Let's get open for business here and let's wake up the football gods here. I hope everybody's having a great Monday morning here as Joe Boo, it's Hangover Monday and looks like he's been definitely taking care of the bottle today. So the Cowboys get back on track here, getting a win against the Detroit Lions. Dak Prescott is back. He did wear the brace or the taping on his thumb. It seemed like he started off slower, seemed to get better as the game progressed. The Cowboys get a victory, 24-6. The defense is still beasting. And it's funny because watching that game, it seemed like the defense was a little bit off, but yet they only gave up 6 points. Now, I want to go early this morning first. I want to get to the talking heads' thought on this game, and then I want to rebuttal it. So let's go to Get Up this morning.
Than the game felt if you were watching. 24-6 is the final. How impressed were you with Dak and his return?
Not at all. I mean, quite honestly, he had to get through this game.
Yeah.
So I wasn't expecting a whole lot. Look, Russell Wilson had the exact same injury last year. He went 3 games before he did anything. I mean, he had scored 28 points in those 3 games. So I wasn't expecting a great performance by Dak. But quite honestly, you're going against a Detroit team that say that they're struggling on defense is an understatement. And I thought the Lions were the better team for the first 3 quarters of that game. I really did.
That's what I meant when I said the game was a lot closer than the final score would indicate. But, RC, I think you made a little point during the highlight. That Cowboy defense is built to play from in front. And if they get in front, no one is going to catch.
Oh, no, you're absolutely in trouble with the way that they can rush the passer. Also, the way that they make plays on the back end. Now, they lose Jourdan Lewis yesterday, so you want to know how long that's going to be. But on the back end, they make plays on the football. Michael Parsons is not the only rusher on this team that can make plays, even though he's the best one and maybe the best in the league. But this team has to figure out a way that they can play in close games when teams understand that they can run the football, especially like we saw the Philadelphia Eagles do last week. And if you're the Dallas Cowboys, you don't leave this game feeling like world beaters. You don't leave this game feeling great because you feel like Dak Prescott has to add something extra and a different element to this team. What I did love was Kellen Moore. Kellen Moore didn't say we're going to come out here and heap everything on Dak Prescott's shoulders. You heard Dan talk about the way Ezekiel Elliott affected the game yesterday. That was huge. Tony Pollard also had big plays. He called the football game for his offense and not his quarterback. That's going to be huge going down the stretch.
So Dallas should have lost this game. All right, the fumble on the 1-yard line. The Lions are about to go up 13-10 with about 9 minutes to go in this game, if not for Micah Parsons. So Dallas, you're lucky you won the game. I want to go to something that you said, though, because I get the theory of, hey, if we get the lead, then our defense is at its best. And my concern is, and it started to show a little bit yesterday, of they're chasing the lead, so to speak. And you saw Dak, who played good, solid football, force the football downfield a couple times that could have equaled interceptions. This offense is not explosive. I mean, this is a perfect example. It's 2nd and 20. He's going to throw the ball downfield to CeeDee Lamb into triple coverage. He should take that underneath throw. That should be an interception. But you live in this world of, like, let's go be explosive. They're trying to get that perimeter screen and fake down the sideline. Again, this ball should probably be back shoulder to CD. This is thrown into another moment of triple coverage that should be an interception. So while I believe and agree with, like, hey, you want to play with the lead, but
I have a question.
I don't want them to chase
So here's my question. Everybody wants to play with the lead. Right. Is Dak chasing the lead, or is Dak chasing his individual big plays there?
Probably a little bit of both,
you know
right?
I got to come show that there's a big difference between Dak Prescott and Cooper Rush.
I think it's a great point because there's that world where he lives in saying, I got to go prove it's me, I'm better than Cooper Rush. And also that world of, hey, our defense, because if you put big people on the field against that defense, you could pound the football against them. They're right now a bottom 10 team or bottom 5 team in the league offensively when it comes to explosives, and I don't think they can win that way.
By the way, remember when we all loved the Lions and thought they were on their way? That feels like a very long time ago. All right, we're just getting looks unbelievable.
All right,
good.
So let's go on a couple of things in there. Jourdan Lewis is had surgery late last night, is done for the season on the LASIK fracture on his foot. He will not play anymore this season. Going through on this game now, again, we all know The Dak Prescott was definitely rusty. Dak Prescott was rusty, and there were a couple passes where he was saying, I can fit it in there. And they brought up the two bad ones there. As far as the Lions should have won, I will say that the Micah Parsons play, which was incredible to stop them right there on the 1-yard line and keeping them from getting in. I will also say that on the reverse side of that it basically evened out because the Noah Brown fumble, Noah Brown on the 4-yard line, that was a catch that should have been us getting a touchdown. So you can kind of say that was a wash there. But, you can always cherry pick a couple of plays in any game, even if it's a blowout, and make it that, they should have lost it had this play, and this play not happened. But the reality is they didn't. In the end, they won. Now, Dak Prescott wasn't, the Dak Prescott that we know. But here's what we got. We got 76% completion percentage, okay? And that's with the drop of CeeDee Lamb and the Noah Browns that should have been catches. I'm sorry, Michael Gallup and the Noah Brown drops. 76% completion percentage. 207 yards, not outstanding. 1 TD and a 113.3 rating. Okay. That's not, earth-shattering, but that's pretty good. Having come back from surgery 6 weeks ago on your thumb where you've got a plate and screws on it. Now, let's go through a little bit more of the numbers here. They mentioned that Russell Wilson had the same injury last year, in which case he missed that time. He came back against the Green Bay Packers, had 50% completion percentage, 2 interceptions, a 39 rating. Yeah, no TDs. No, they lost. They played the next week against the Cardinals. He had a 53.9% completion percentage, averaged 8 yards per completion, 0 TDs, 0 interceptions. And then the third game was finally when he got his first touchdown pass going against Washington. He had 2 TDs, no interceptions, 64% completions, and a 110 rating. So you could see that Russell got better as the time went on. The next game against San Francisco, 81% completions, 2 TDs, 1 interceptions, and so on, and they got the win. So for us to get Dak out there, to get a game under his belt, to turn the ship around from where we were losing to the Eagles last week, says at least quite a bit. Now let's go through with the Lions here, because here's the thing that's always funny to me. They'll go through and they'll say the game was closer than what the numbers say they were. Okay, I get that, 24-6. But the strange thing about the Lions is against the Eagles, 38-35. Now, I will say that, some of that's garbage time. Maybe the Eagles coasted, but the Eagles still gave up 35 to that team. They beat the Commanders 36-27, and they go against the Vikings. They lost, but it was only 28-24. It was still a 1-score game. Yeah, the Vikings with a healthy Kirk Cousins and Justin Jefferson and crew only scored 4 points more than what we did against Seattle. Now, Seattle, of course, feasted on them, but Seattle's actually doing some great things. But it was still a one-score game. The only game that they've really gotten blown out was last week against the Patriots, 29-0. So this whole thing of, well, you should have just blown them out. Well, nobody's really blown them out except for the Patriots. You know what I'm saying? The difference in winning and losing, and this is what I almost find comical too, because last year when Diggs was actually doing a lot of takeaways and interceptions and stuff, they deemed interceptions like they were nothing. But understand, us getting the takeaway there on the 1-yard line is a game changer. Us getting 5 takeaways yesterday are game changers, because you can look at the numbers, the statistics. We only had 1 takeaway. The statistics are almost dead even for what Jared Goff did and Dak Prescott did. Thing is, Jared Goff had the interceptions and the fumbles. It's the difference in the game. Here's the thing about the Eagles. I'm going to say something good about the Eagles right now, which is very painful for me to say. there's some statistics out there that are truly game-changing, okay? One of the ones is turnover differential. If you can get the ball more than you give it away, you have more opportunities to score. You will get a defense that's not ready. They come off the field, they're on the sidelines, they're drinking some Gatorade, and they're talking to the coach and they're telling them what they did right and what to look for and stuff. And all of a sudden, you hear defense. And you got to run out on the field, and now the defensive coordinator's got to come up with the play call. And usually that's when a lot of big plays happen because the defense isn't ready for that takeaway. The Cowboys this season, right now, we're +6 in the turnover differential. You take the amount of takeaways versus the amount of giveaways, and that's where you get the number. We're second in the NFL in takeaways, in turnover differential, with 6. And you look at like Arizona, which is, they got a win yesterday. They're doing better, but that NFC West is, it's rough. The Cardinals are +5, Baltimore's +5, Minnesota's +4, the Bills are +3. And when you go down on the bottom, you can see some of the teams. New Orleans Saints -10, the Colts -7, the Lions -6, Washington -5, the Rams -5. Green Bay -4. So you see the teams that are struggling mostly at the bottom of the list there, giving away the ball more than they're receiving it. But here's the one I didn't realize this. The Eagles in 6 games are +12. They double what we have. And more than anything else, you can point to that statistic alone and see why they are where they are. They're getting extra opportunities. They're not giving other teams short fields. And their ball control. And the question is can they keep that up? If they can keep that up, they will be a scary team. But if the law of averages comes back around and they start giving it up some, more towards the end of the season, that could make it harder for them to win. The Cowboys, they need to continue what they're doing and not turning over the ball. You can look at us from last week when we lost to the Eagles, where we had 3 interceptions. It's the difference in the game. And that's the key. All of this stuff and winning and losing is a team effort. You can't say, we got a great quarterback, so we're just going to win. Well, Aaron Rodgers has proven that. He's been league MVP the last few years, and they're not winning Super Bowls. You have to have a team that's playing together. And Micah Parsons, he only had the 1 sack. I say only 1. 7 on the season, which is still phenomenal. But we have other guys that are really stepping up in here. Sam Williams now. Last week he had a tackle for a loss and started getting a few tackles under his belt. Yesterday having 2 sacks, 1 which turned into a sack, strip fumble, and recovery. That is big. And then you got Dorrance Armstrong. I believe he's got 6 sacks himself. The Dallas Cowboys right now, as we sit here right now, are averaging 4.15 sacks per game. Over a 17-game schedule, that's 71 sacks. 1 off of the record. If the Cowboys can continue to do this, continue to get to the quarterback, continue to put pressure on them, continue to win the battle of takeaways, it's going to bode well for this team. I'm not going to say yesterday was a pretty game, that you were worried about the Lions beating us and things like that, but give it time. Give it time. This is the first time Dak has been playing in 6 weeks. And understand that first game against Tampa Bay, when Tampa Bay was completely healthy and before all of the ugliness of Tom Brady's life came to light, that was the first time that their offense had any contact fully together. So this is still like preseason for Dak Prescott. I know the haters will say, oh, you're just making excuses for Dak. Hey, I've never seen people so mad about having a 5-2 record and winning games. I just haven't. But hey, go ahead. Be mad. I'm going to be happy that we got out of that game for the most part, with the exception of Jourdan Lewis being injured. We got out of that game without too many injuries. I'm still worried a little bit about Micah Parsons' team, a little bit slowed down yesterday. Dalton Schultz with the nagging knee injury. You kind of saw him a little bit gimpy right there. But if we can get through the Bear game, without too many injuries, and then have the bye week, then we can all of a sudden try and start stacking these wins together and start going on a roll, hopefully, to finish up the season. Can't believe week 7 is almost over. But hey, that's the life of being an NFL fan. Season takes too long to get here, and it doesn't last long enough. As always, though, friends, I appreciate each and every one of you. Don't forget tonight, tune in 9 o'clock Eastern for our live stream. And if you are wondering about the foods and stuff that we do on Sundays and things and keto and all that, check out Cooking and Tailgating with Joe Boo. That is my other channel where I put the game day subs and the chili and all that recipes and how I do it up on there. So definitely check that out. And with that being said, let's roll out.
Our coach here, and as always, I want to thank you all for watching, commenting, subscribing, and being part of the Joe Boo Sports Report.
You did one hell of a job, and all the thing else I got to